Hello everyone, welcome. My name is MJ Pestridge. Welcome to another flight simulation video. And I just hate it when you have a piece of software like your FLIGHTSIM and then either something crashes out on you or it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. GSX, okay? This video is designed to help you overcome your GSX issues and get it back up and running. So this video covers any flight simulator that GSX is compatible with. I'm just using P3D because that's what I have, but this video does apply to Microsoft, although it may appear in like menus and stuff like that slightly different, but the concept of what we're saying is exactly the same. It reacts and behaves differently, the same in both different sims, okay? So it doesn't matter if you've got, you know, Microsoft or P3D or any other sim that this works for. So firstly, a little disclaimer, okay? GSX is a very complicated piece of software, and it does kind of like attach itself to the core of the sim. So, but it relies so much on about 5 different factors for it to run quite correctly. And do you know what? I have noticed in like the FS Dream Team forums, people just bursting through the gates going, your software's shit, your software's rubbish, it's crashing, it doesn't start, coaddle is, you know, this, coaddle is that. And do you know what? Here's a secret. More often than not, it's actually you guys that are the issue. The user of coaddle and GSX that has the issues, because GSX and coaddle is actually one of the very few pieces of flight simulation software that is constantly updated, refined, you know, redone, and falls in line with the latest simulator versions for both P3D and Microsoft. Like, they are a very active development team. It does work, but it relies on about 5 different factors of them working fine before this can behave correctly. And we're going to go through the troubleshooting steps that you can take for each of these 5 items to make sure GSX is running fine. So really, I guess the first one is open up your task manager, and you can do that by right clicking and going to task manager. I've made a shortcut on my taskbar down here, so it goes straight to it. And now this is where the difference might lie, because in P3D it kind of attaches itself, it's the coaddle scripting engine, right, to my P3D executable, but you might find that it's actually separate in Microsoft. I'm not really sure, I can't remember. But make sure that this is running, and you'll have an icon down here, this little snaky, lizardy, grubby dude, okay? Make sure that it's there, okay? If it's not there, then you need to start it, okay? And it's pretty simple on how you start it. You open up your C drive, you go into Program Files x86, and again, this is how like I've got it installed because I'm using, you know, P3D, but it might be in a different location on Microsoft, and just run it. Obviously you've got a P3D one and a Microsoft here, so I'm guessing it's going to be in this location for both sims, and just run that. And if it doesn't run, then there's something wrong, because if I basically was to exit out of this and restart it, it should run. There's no reason why it shouldn't. So I'm going to go through the 5 things of what it requires to be working correctly on your PC before GSX will work correctly in your sim. And if one of these 5 things is not there on your PC, then that is going to be why it's crashing out, not the program itself. Okay, so first off, it requires your Windows operating system to be non-corrupted, non-errored, and a legitimate copy, you know. Secondly, it requires the simulator itself to also be legitimate, be working, no corruption, and no errors. It also requires the airport that you're loading into to be properly developed, but also to be legitimate, no corruption, no errors, and working properly. It also requires your plane that you're loading and using it against to also be a legitimate copy that is working correctly, no corruption, and no errors, right? And finally, if you have any other utilities or add-ons that incorporate and use GSX, it also requires those to be legitimate, no corruption, no errors, and working properly. Okay, so the best way to determine if, you know, it is GSX or one of the other ones is literally open up your add-ons folder, remove every add-on in there except the Dream Team add-on manager and the Dream Team exclude. Literally remove them. So in your add-ons list, if you've got P3D or in Microsoft, however you work out where your add-ons like a list is, you'll only have the FS Dream add-on manager and FS Team exclude. Restart your sim and PC and then load into the sim and see if Coaddle starts up, or see if it loads up into your sim fine. And if it doesn't, then it's going to be probably one of these add-ons that you've got in your sim that is actually what the problem is. But it may not be. So it's not a confirmed kill yet. Firstly, we're going to go all the way back to your operating system. You need to have a working, non-corrupted, you know, the update system doesn't really make that much of a difference, although at the same time it does. You know, I don't update my Windows all the time. I do it about 3 or 4 times a year. So I'm using like an old, like whatever build version of Windows, and GSX is most likely more up to date. But I would actually say your very first step would be to run the updater. So actually run it. So right click the FSDT live updater, which you can't see because my face is in the way. Let me just remove my face. Run the updater. Okay, run it as an administrator. That's very important. And go through the steps. Restart your PC and then start your sim up again. And if it's still crashing, then it might not be again the GSX software because you've updated it and it's got the latest version in there. So let's go back to the operating system. Like I said, go down to your search bar down here and type in COM, so it brings up the command prompt here, and run it as an administrator. And what we're going to do is we're going to check your Windows operating system to make sure it is running correctly. So type in SFC, the space bar, the /, and scan now as one word and hit enter on your keyboard. And what this is going to do is it's going to check your Windows operating system, just the operating system files from a clean copy that is on your hard drive. Like, it's going to check it against the copy that you've actually got on your hard drive, because you've actually got 2 copies of Windows, by the way, on your hard drive, but one is partitioned and you can't see it. So it's hidden and it's clean and it's working. And as long as that isn't actually corrupted, then it will, if it does detect any problems, it will replace files from that working clean copy. So Windows 10 is going to be working. And that's basically what this is checking for. Now, the most important thing is, I didn't actually check, but I know mine does, is when you click start, check the time that it started on, because this scan should only take 3 minutes. If this scan takes 20 minutes, then I would actually look at your CPU first, because, you know, a CPU that is fit for flight simming should only scan, and that's the CPU that is used, it for under 3 minutes. Like, mine's going to take like 1.5 minutes or something like that. Might be 2 minutes because I'm running my flight sim and I'm recording the video, so it could take a bit longer. But literally, this scan should only take 3 minutes, and if it takes longer, look at your CPU and what it's doing, how it's being utilized. Is the coolant on it sufficient? Maybe it needs replacing, and that could actually be your issue, because, you know, GSX requires hardware for it to work. It requires CPU calculation. So if your CPU ain't fit for business, then that could be the reason why it's crashing out. And it does crash out separately from the sim. Now, it used to take the sim down with it when it crashed out, but in P3D it doesn't. I don't know how the behavior is coded in Microsoft, but they do function similar in both sims. So I don't know if Coaddle crashes out, then, you know, your sim's going to go bye-bye. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't in P3D. If Coaddle crashes, the sim is fine. This is finished and it hasn't found anything bad, so nothing needs replacing. My operating system is working. And by the way, my GSX, don't have a problem with it. But that means nothing to you, so let's carry on. Right, so secondly, remove all your airports. Remove all your planes and just load in to GSX into a default plane at a default airport with like really no add-ons, because the data and information, right, that Coaddle uses is linked to all your add-ons. Like, it requires airports, aircraft data and the sim data, you know, and it reads and it uses that information to do what it needs to do. And if they're corrupted, if any one of those three items were corrupted, or they're not working as they should be, or maybe they're a very old version because you're a piece of shit, you know, pirate, and you want free stuff, then that'll be a reason why it doesn't work correctly. So you need to really kind of investigate the reason now, instead of just going, GSX don't work, it's got to be GSX because it's the thing not working. And actually it could literally be the opposite thing. It could be your sim actually isn't working, and that's why GSX can't work. Because I'll tell you guys now, GSX is a very well made piece of software. It's the most up-to-date software in both P3D and Microsoft. FS Dream Team are good developers who regularly update that add-on for each sim and add new features all the time. They're active development, so like probably more so than most other developers for FLIGHTSIM. So it's definitely not the add-on, and in small cases it might be an add-on problem, you know, but it's nothing a reinstallation can't fix. Because if it really was the software, every single user of GSX would report the same issue. Like, there is times when there's been updates and it has gone wonky, and that is the software. But like, I haven't got any issues, and I know many people who haven't, so it can't be the version that I'm currently using that is the problem. So, but like I said, check against your airports and your aircraft, and that could be a lengthy process if you have loads, because you're literally checking against each single one. And also check against FSUIPC separately, because like it could be a conflict with FSUIPC. Basically, it could be a conflict with any of your add-ons. So you really got to investigate the reason why. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to head into the sim. I'm going to go to an airport. Let me just see which ones I've got loaded in here. We'll go to VGHS. Okay. And we're going to check it against VGHS. I'm going to show you things now that you can do inside the sim. So we need to go to an actual gate. I'll go to a heavy one, and we'll use a plane that is kind of heavy-ish. What have I got in my list? I don't have every plane here. Sometimes I take things out and I put things in. So I don't want to use Aerosoft because I haven't flown that in such a long time. But I'll tell you what, we use the A333. I know this works, so let's go. I haven't got a British cut. Virgin, baby. We'll go Virgin. Okay, Virgin going in. So we're going to Hazrat. We've got the A33 now. Again, like, this isn't the most up-to-date piece of software for this sim, but it does work in the sim. I know that. So now, when you're loading into the sim and it gets to 5% in P3D, it's loading the terrain data. If it ever gets stuck on this 5% and does not move to 6% after, say, a minute to 2 minutes, it's probably, like, most likely you've actually got a problem with your scenery. And like, GSX is reading scenery data, so if you've got a problem with your scenery, it probably won't read it right, and that is where you could have a problem. So in P3D there is a backup feature sort of implemented to where you can actually go and fix it. So head into your local C drive, go to program data, and go into your P3D 5 folder. Or if you're running any other version, doesn't matter. And the scenery indexes, and basically inside that folder is a list of indexes. Control A to highlight every single one and push the delete key to delete them all. Obviously I won't do it now, I'm loading the sim up. And then restart your sim, and it will rebuild that database based on your add-ons, because if there is a corruption in your scenery library or a corruption in the scenery indexes, then that could also be tripping Coaddle or GSX up, or the reason why it's not functioning properly. So basically reset your indexes and you'll get past that 5% loading screen. Another reason could be because the shader cache folder is also corrupt. So if your shader cache folder is corrupt, again, head into your local C drive, go into the users, go into your PC name and app data, go into local, and for your simulator, the version number that you're using, head into that. And inside this shaders folder is your shader cache. Now, this is created when you load into your sim. So again, Control A, and just delete everything in here and restart your sim. And this will get rebuilt based on your shaders. So here we are inside the sim. Let me just go outside here. So here we are at the sim. Oh, and I've chosen an airport with no bloody gates. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. So for me, in P3D, but Microsoft, it will be basically identical. You should have the ability to bring up a menu for GSX. Okay, again, both sims, it might be different, but again, it's going to be the same. Now, if this menu comes up, the settings menu, with no problem, then most likely everything is actually working correctly. Because if this menu doesn't come up, then there probably is a problem with the installation. Just uninstall it, check all the previous steps up to now, and then reinstall it. Also, you can check to see maybe if your coatl needs an update. So you can check live updates and it will tell you either run it or ignore it. So this one, I have actually got a update for my add-on manager. I'm going to say ignore this for now though, because everything is working fine. And one thing that I've learned with flight simulation is that if it don't broke, then don't try and fix it. Okay, so if your GSX is working fine and yet it says, hey guys, we've got an update, unless there's a major new feature that you desperately want to take advantage of, do not run the updater, okay, because the update could get corrupted, and then even then your GSX might not work when it was working before, and you'll blame GSX again, but it could have been the update process that corrupted some files and the update wasn't able to install like 100% correctly. So only really run this updater if you have an issue and see if there's an update, and then it may fix the issue. Another thing you can do again is restart coatl. So when it loads in, it should come up with either there is no parking or no services available if it doesn't find the files it needs. If it comes up with that, there are no services available, there are files missing on your system that it can't read. So therefore you won't actually get GSX to work because, there's a problem with the airport actually. It's the AFCAD file that it's looking for that it needs. And it needs accurate working AFCAD files. Not ones that are wonky or custom made or little dodgy things. They need to be up to date and they need to be working in order for GSX to work. So one thing you can do, if you go, but I actually installed it, I know it's there, why GSX are you not reading it? Rebuild your airport cache, just restart coatl, rebuild the thing. You should get a notification pop up, I've disabled it in P3D, to say when it's done or how long it's going to take or anything like that. And I've keybound my GSX to come up when I click the letter G. And so I'm clicking G now, it isn't coming up, and that's because it's still rebuilding the index. And when it finishes doing that, then it will. This is just a quick insert into the video. You can actually modify these AFCAD files and use custom AFCAD files for airports and custom files for aircraft. And I want to say, people who share their profiles, okay, you are in dangerous territory because GSX over the years has actually changed in the way it works. It is actually more refined, more better. But if you're using a very old profile, the setup, the layout of that profile might be a lot different, and that's what could be triggering or tripping the latest version of GSX. So sharing profiles really is kind of lazy, in all honesty. Yeah, you look at your mates and he's got everything set up and it looks great, and you're like, mate, can you send me a profile, mate? Because, you know, yeah, but why don't you just go create it yourself? It's literally very easy, like, to configure aircraft and airports so GSX will work flawlessly. If you rely on a default AFCAD at a third-party airport because the airport developer hasn't put a really good AFCAD in or hasn't developed the airport properly, then you're going to need to sort of finish that job off for the developer. Otherwise, GSX just won't work properly if it's conflicting information. Same with the aircraft. If the aircraft's setup isn't done correctly and you have to kind of go in there and tweak things, then you're adding another variable of problems that GSX, you know, might run up against. So guys, sharing profiles, really, it just introduces problems later. It really does. It's so easy to set GSX up. I'll do videos on sort of GSX setup for aircraft and airports if you want, because it's so simple to do. It only takes like 5 minutes to set an aircraft up. So where you go, can I have your GSX profile? You know, it's kind of really redundant, because later on you might have problems, you know, because that profile ain't going to get updated unless you do that yourself. Whereas if you have an aircraft and they've created their own GSX profile and they update that, you know, with the plane, you won't have any problems, you know. A lot of high-end payware products do include profiles for GSX because they know people have it, and so same with airports, and so they'll make it GSX compatible. And that's when you know you've got a developer that cares, because he knows the add-ons that people use and he makes sure they work with those add-ons as well. Developers who just don't make things work with other things, well, I don't really care about. They just want your money. They just want it to work for their purpose, and then that is it. You know, and GSX does work. It really does, but it relies on working planes, working airports, working, you know, sim, and a working operating system for it to function properly. And now it's popped up, so most likely if I try and request a service, like the GPU for instance, everything should load up and begin to work as intended. Put the frames up in the corner. So we have the dude coming over with the box. Yes. Now another thing, and again, I don't know if it's the same in Microsoft, but in P3D, if your doors aren't open, right, nothing will work. Your services does require the doors on your aircraft to be open in order to begin loading things in. So if I request, say, catering service,
catering vehicles are on their way.
Now they're on the way, guys. We gotta do this. But like, if I haven't opened the doors, like here, I've got a button key bound to open and close doors. So if I do that, the door will close. And if I do it again, the door will open.
Baggage handling is complete and the aircraft is clear, sir.
Right, so I'm going to have to head into my flight deck because I need to open 2 doors now. Okay. So all doors that need to be that are opened. So there is no reason why this animation of the services should not actually work now, because the doors are open. And as long as I've set the aircraft up correctly in terms of the points of contact between these service trucks and this airplane, everything will work fine. So that's done. Let's call the refuelers now. Request refueling, please. And again, they'll come in and they'll do their thing. Like I said, GSX is a piece of software that actually works fluidly and brilliantly. And if it doesn't work in your sim, then there is a corruption or there is something not right that GSX is needing to do but can't do, and so therefore won't do, and therefore won't work. Now, out of all the cases of GSX not working, there's probably literally only about 20% of the time that it is GSX, but that could be due not to the software itself or the implementation of the software inside the sim, but that could actually be due to maybe the updates got corrupted and not installed correctly. The installation, the original installation, might be corrupted and not installed correctly. If you've been fiddling with the files, trying to move things around, your interference, again, making it unstable, not working, it's corrupted. There are so many reasons why, you know, it's going to be doing this. So let's request the boarding as well. I mean, we're kind of just skipping through everything, really. So let's request boarding.
Requested.
It is requested, love. We'll soon see what we get. Now, I don't think I've actually set this aircraft up for the services. There is a manager in P3D where it's custom airport positions and customize aircraft, so you can actually set up everything. I can make it a cargo plane. I mean, I'm assuming in Microsoft this still exists as well, like you guys have the same ability. I don't actually know, but make sure that your de-icer is set to where it should be, your engines, it's aware of where those engines are. Make sure your pack stores are set correctly, your service cargo doors are set correctly. I'll do a whole video if you want on how to utilize and use this this menu. But if that process here is out of sync, out of line, not, you know, working correctly because of the AFCAD file that GSX is reading from, or the plane itself that it's reading from files, you know, that's where the issue is actually going to lie and not in GSX. And again, it's the same for the airport as well. There is a whole customized airport position, which I can actually do while services are active. But if I hadn't triggered the services, we could have had a look at that menu. Again, if you want me to do a video on that, I'm more than happy to do that, to show you, like, GSX, guys, really does work fluidly. It's usually, you know, the software that it relies on, other software, to also be working fluidly for it to be working properly, you know? And if you have a working Windows operating system that isn't corrupt, and you have a working simulator that isn't corrupt, and you have working aircraft that have been installed correctly,
passengers boarding starting,
and you have the airport which is up to date with its files, or even if it's not up to date with its files, like that it is working as intended, and the utilities that GSX will sort of interface with, as long as they're working correctly, then GSX will work correctly. And if it doesn't, it could be hardware related, or the fact it could be a wonky installation of GSX itself, or it could be you're a dirty little hacker that wants everything for free. You know, it's going to be one of those issues, is basically what I'm saying. And you just need to figure out what that issue is so you can then rectify it. So, and you know what, I don't know if anybody knows this, but there are viewpoint cameras that GSX also put in. So if we go to outside, was it air traffic or outside? I can never remember where now. Oh, custom, that's it, custom. You can actually go to a viewpoint of, like, the pushback truck, you know? Or let's see, you could go to the stairs middle front of a plane, you know, which isn't really that movable that much, but you know, you can set up, you can go to a viewpoint, and then actually we're inside the engine here, so we'll just go past it, and so you can watch the things getting loaded on. There's also a passenger stairs front left, so you can actually have a look at it and check it out and see, and you know, multiple, oh, look at that, beautiful. There are multiple camera views built in. Now, I don't know if this is, again, a feature in pushback driver. In fact, you could actually be the pushback driver, you know. I don't know if it's in Microsoft or not, I'm not really sure, but this is P3D and it does work again. So we could go behind the pushback driver, you know, and then we could just swivel the camera and hello, beautiful. Yeah, quite like that view, actually. We'll leave that there, although we can't see the services, but I can toggle between the camera views here, so it's not a problem. If I go to the spot view, and then I can go back to that view, and I can go back to the spot view. I use the default camera system, by the way, in P3D. I don't use Chase Plane. So we can set that up there, and then we can go back to the one we had before, And then we can go back to the one we had before. And we can view everything in beautiful detail. Come join the flight of Virgin Atlantic, flying in style in the skies with Richard Branson, helping him get to the moon for everybody else. SpaceX. That's not Richard Branson, is it? He's Virgin Galactic or something like that. But yeah, as you can see, like, GSX, guys, does work, and there is absolutely nothing wrong. Like, I see so many streamers, you know, basically saying how rubbish GSX is, and it's never worked, and they just don't know what they're talking about, because actually it does work. And maybe there has been instances in the past where they've put an update out and it has been wonky, but they rectified it. Like, it works. And FS Dream Team are actually one of the most active developers in the flight sim community. They are very good. Their airports are very detailed. Like, oh look, he's actually loading it up. Look at him. He's loading it up, and it's actually going up. You know, it does work. So find what the issue is. In fact, we can get rid of the GPU stuff now. Dismiss that GPU, by the way. Find out what the issue is, find out what's not working, rectify that, and GSX will magically appear. Guys, I'm just going to leave it on here now and run through the rest of the services video, but that's basically it, guys, for this video. Like, I can't think of any other steps apart from uninstalling GSX completely and then deleting any folders left behind and then reinstalling it again. Like, if it, oh, by the way, if it was your sim, okay, in P3D, I don't know if Microsoft has this, but if you open up the classic control panel for Windows and go to uninstall a program and just search down for P3D, right? When you if we scroll down for P3D,
baggage handling is complete and the aircraft is clear, sir.
Cheers, mate. So we scroll down for P3D. Where is it? P3D. Got so much rubbish here. Right, so I mean, I've got 3, 4, and 5 installed. So literally clicking on the content, scenery, and client,
Refueling truck
there is a
on its
repair function. So you click repair.
Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
Okay, I won't, love. Sorry, I didn't realize. I don't remember stating I was. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. So literally click on the scenery, click on the repair, and it will run through the repair of the scenery, reinstating original files. Same with content, repair, and client, repair. Okay, now this will refresh any changes. It only touches the default sim. It doesn't touch any, you know, sort of files that you've put into the sim. And if you uninstall P3D, it would leave behind any, you know, files that you've modified. But it refreshes scenery files and content, it refreshes the sim. So actually you can tell if it is going to be the sim, because once you do that and it's still broken, then, you know. Now, I mentioned the add-on menu before, okay? If it doesn't appear in your add-on menu, and you know you've installed it, go to your C drive and you want to check the pathway. So C drive, go into program data for your
Fuel
actual
truck is
sim.
in position.
So version 5, there is
Please don't load aircraft until the fuel truck arrives and ask to do it.
Right, you told me before and I said okay. I mean, why are you still asking me this, girl? So another way is go, like, to see, make sure it is actually setting correctly into the correct location. So if you're in P3D, go into C drive, go into users, go to the PC name of app data roaming, and into the version number that you're using, and there is an add-on CFG file in here. Now, this is not your add-on CFG list of add-ons that are like registered with the sim. This is a cache version. Okay, this is a different version than the one you'll find in program data. So you might load this up and see absolutely nothing. You might load it up and see hundreds, right? It basically varies. Basically, whatever you have in your Documents P3D5 add-ons folder is going to be in this list. So if I deleted everything in this folder, there'd be nothing in this list when I started up the sim. Now, as it stands, we have these two here, and it has the pathway to that add-on. If we follow this pathway, here are those two files from the XML okay, and just check the address on those, okay? So if I go in here, it should only just include an XML document in both. Just there should be no further add-ons in there. If there is, it's been installed incorrectly. Uninstall it and reinstall it again. It should by default install correctly. Open up and just check the address on all of these, because that is the address that it should be. It should be sitting in Program Files 86, Add-on Manager, and then all the folders within. If any of these addresses is different, that is where your problem lies. Also check the exclude folder, bring that up as well, and again should have the very same address, okay? And if it doesn't, that could also be where the problem lies, because if your sim can't find it, it won't load it. All right, this is actually waiting. It says boarding completing. I don't remember seeing anybody. It says boarding completed. Fuel truck is fueling. The services are completed. Basically everything's done at the end of the day. So there we go. We might have missed the people getting on board or something. I don't know. Actually, I haven't set the aircraft up, to be honest. I haven't said how many passengers are actually getting on. It needs to know this information for it to work. So if I was to go in here, and yeah, I haven't actually done the load sheet yet. So if we had a load sheet put in here, GSX would know exactly how much to load in terms of, you know, in fact, I might even have turned GSX off. So GSX pushback says no. I use the Aerosoft pushback. Yeah, it needs the load sheet. So if you haven't loaded this, then, like, to be honest, why are you boarding passengers when you don't know the weights of GSX? Like, really make sure you know how to use the software as well, because user error is probably 95% of all the issues people face with GSX. Seriously. Okay, anyway guys, that's it. That's everything. If it isn't working after watching this video, okay, if you've checked your Windows operating system and you've checked that, like, the update system of Windows is working fine, and you've checked your airplanes, your other sort of aircraft or any aircraft, you've checked your airports, you know, you made sure your sim is actually working first, you know, that you've actually bought everything legitimately and you haven't gone and got it, you know, on a worthless website, you know, if you've done all those steps and your hardware is actually acceptable enough, put it down in the comments below if you're still having an issue, because I guarantee you there'll only be one or two, because this will solve your GSX issues, guys, this video. But anyway, I want to thank you so much. I do actually give away 50 euros, by the way, on my channel every single month. So if you're watching my channel and you want 50 euros for free, all you have to do is be a subscriber to my channel, leave a comment down in any one of my P3D or flight sim videos, and at the end of every single month, I go live with a vlog and I announce the winner of the 50 euros of flight sim vouchers for Sim Market, where you can choose any flight sim add-on you like, and you'll have 50 euros to spend, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.